Hi guys, welcome back to Waxing On. Today we're going to do one more comedy show. Over the last couple of weeks we've featured some of the legend of comedy. Groucho Marx, Steve Martin, and today another one who's right up there with him, Robin Williams. Now Robin Williams came to prominence through the TV show Mork and Mindy. I think that's where the majority of the world kind of got their first taste of what Robin Williams was all about. And it was so different, so unusual, and a great style of comedy. And at that time, we were getting a lot of comedy albums out. So one of the albums I picked up, because again, I was a fan of what he was doing, was one of Robin's first albums called Reality, What a Concept. And we're talking, I think, about 1979, Casablanca Records. Robin was doing a lot of stand-up. Now, if you've seen back in those days, I mean, he was getting really popular. He was doing the talk shows, and it was a chore for the host to wrangle him in. Not like any other interview where, you'd have the comedian come out and they do the routine and they come over and they talk, whether it was to Carson or usually Carson that was doing it, I guess, at that point. But when Robin Williams came on, they could be asking him questions and he would be all over the place, doing routines, doing little bits. Really hard for them to get a traditional interview out of him, but that was just how fast he was coming up with ideas and how he really captured the imagination of everybody with what he was doing. This album, two sides, are recorded at the Copacabana in New York City and the Boarding House, San Francisco. And I think I remember last week we talked about Steve Martin recording at the Boarding House as well. So it must have been a regular spot for comedy in those days. Now, Robin Williams, he did comedy for a while, but he also started branching out into acting, same as Steve Martin did. But to me, some of his dramatic acting was some of the best of what he did. And the movie that comes to mind first is Insomnia with Al Pacino. The character he played in that, it was just perfect. It was right on. And so different from what you would see from the comedy side of Robin Williams. And it showed just the very many different layers of what he could do and what he had to offer. And again, if you haven't seen Insomnia, check it out. This one, we've got, a number of tunes, not necessarily tunes, a number of sets here. I'll just read off what they have. Maybe some of them will ring a bell for you. Nicky Lennon, Pop Goes the Weasel, Kindergarten of the Stars, Touch of Fairfax, and Reverend Ernest Angry. And I remember that character. Side two is Shakespeare, Thank You Boyce. Sounds like Lawrence Welk to me, but maybe not. You have to check it out. Roots People, Hollywood Casting Session, Come Inside My Mind, and Grandpa Funk. Now, there is a warning on this, 1979. Again, there was a lot of things that went on then that, if you remember, we talked about with National Lampoon, the Saturday Night Live album that we looked at, a lot of the comedy albums. Things were different back then. Things that were recorded or said here, while they still had a warning, might not be taken the same way nowadays. So again, with any of the comedy albums, I'm putting that caution out there that, some of this may be offensive to people. You'll have to make up your own mind. But anyways, on here's a note. Please note certain words in this album might be considered objectionable by parents of children under 16. So yeah, we got the 16 warning on there. And again, probably pretty tame compared to what's out there now. But just a warning. And this goes for any of the comedy albums. Even going to a comedy show, I was at one a few years ago. And it was a fellow named Jerry D, which Canadians will know, and I don't know if the rest of you are aware of him. But again, there was some stuff and people were getting a little offended. And he said, what are you doing coming to a comedy show if you don't expect to hear something like this? I mean, that's what it's like. Two rules at a comedy show: they might hear something offensive. And number two, never engage with the performer. If he asked, is there anybody out there here that something, never put your hand up, never say it's you, never engage with the performer. Just a tip. Anyways, a couple of sets from Robin Williams. And again, if you haven't seen him do his stand-up, this is in the early days. I mean, this is back 1979, so we're talking, goodness gracious, 40-some years ago. Go back and check him out. A young guy out there, see what he was doing back then, and this is what really created the stir and made him superstar. Robin Williams, Reality, What a Concept. I'm not sure what other albums he might have out. I know this was, I believe, the first one, but I don't know how many he followed up with that. But you can check that out on the streaming networks, hard copies. YouTube, you're going to find some of the routines as well. Certainly a lot of places to get a little bit of Robin's humor. So that's it for Friday. Something to brighten your day leading into the weekend. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Take care. Stay safe. We'll see you on Monday. Thanks for stopping by.